unpack from day one of the Biden administration. The new president repeatedly calling for unity amid multiple speeches and press gaggles. But is that message consistent with the policies invoked by the 17 executive actions and orders he signed today? Let's bring in our inauguration night panel to debate. Fox News contributors Leslie Marshall, Steve Hilton, and Byron York are with us. Great to have you all with us tonight.
Good to see you, Shannon.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's start here. This is what the New York Times says today. On day one, Biden moves to undo Trump's legacy. It says his first actions in office were aimed not at compromise and cooperation with his adversaries, but instead suggested a determination to quickly erase much of the Trump agenda. I mean, Byron, that's sort of par for the course for new presidents.
Yeah, but he's doing an awful lot of it. I think today gave us a good picture of some of the new president's priorities. Remember, he said he had to act so quickly because we face four crises: the coronavirus crisis, the attendant economic crisis, the racial equity crisis, and the climate crisis. Now, if you look at what he did today, you would think that immigration was his highest priority, because not only did he take a number of executive actions, he also submitted a bill to Congress, a big immigration reform bill that there's going to be enormous debate about. So perhaps that is the issue that he felt needed the most urgent action, regardless of what he said about anything else.
Well, and he has consistently talked about unity in the days leading up to and the weeks leading up to inauguration and in his speech again today. But here is what some on the left think. Writing in The Atlantic, Ann Applebaum says this coexistence is the only option. But she says this: millions of Americans sympathize with the Capitol insurrection. Everyone else must figure out how to live alongside them. Then goes on to talk about how we could learn lessons from Colombia, which has tried to bring members of the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, or FARC, back into society. So, Leslie, saying millions of Americans agree with what happened at the Capitol seems like a stretch and an insult to a lot of people who feel like they're being lumped in there. But then to equate them to FARC, I mean, that doesn't signal unity.
No, not at all. And that individual doesn't represent me or anybody else, I believe, that voted for Joe Biden. I mean, look, I have a lot of Republican friends and friends that voted for Donald Trump, and they, like me, were appalled at what they saw at January 6th. That wasn't patriotic. That wasn't American. It was violent. And I think most people, regardless of their ideology, condemn those types of actions. I want to speak to the unity, though, that the president is talking about. One, we're all responsible for the choice in that unity, whether we're in the media, whether we're elected officials, or whether it's just the way that we treat one another on the street in our neighborhood. Two, this is not a big surprise. Everything that Joe Biden did today, he said he was going to do. He's keeping the promises that he got elected by over 80 million people to do. And then again, if we look at Donald Trump, he just, had executive orders poo-pooing over 20 executive orders with former Obama administration executive orders. Joe Biden today, he signed 17, 9 of which reversed course from Donald Trump.
This is what Tammy Bruce says about if we really want to have this conversation about unity. She tweets this: Biden wants unity. Well, if true, he will start, number one, tell Dems to stand down on idiotic impeachment. Number two, tell his supporters to stop doxing and threatening Trump staff. Number three, demand an end to Dems' enemies lists. Plus, number four, condemn censorship of conservatives. Steve, do you see him taking action on any of those four suggestions from Tammy?
I think they're exactly the point, because what I'm looking for here, and it's a theme that really struck me all day long, is the contrast between style and substance. I don't think that Joe Biden's going to do any of those things. Tammy's exactly right. If he really meant it, he would do that. He would call his donors and allies in Silicon Valley and say, stop this censorship and silencing of conservatives. That will actually divide us more rather than bring us together. I don't see him doing that, because on every one of these issues, I think there is this gulf between the style and the words and the actual substance. You see it on the policy measures, for example, where he's talking about a mask mandate, making a big point around that. Actually, the data show that America already has one of the highest levels of mask wearing in the world. What difference is he really going to make? Going back into the Paris Climate Agreement, scientists agree that actually won't make any difference to the climate. It's just more virtue signaling. All through these issues, I think we need to look at the contrast, because remember, with Donald Trump, Washington establishment, the media were in horror at the style with which he carried out the job and completely ignored the substance, which in so many areas was incredibly positive and successful. I see the opposite happening here. They love the words from Joe Biden. They're not going to pay attention to the substance, and I don't think it's looking to be very good at the moment.
Well, we've read a lot of articles in recent days about how big tech and big business are likely to benefit from a Biden presidency. And today, now this word from Amazon congratulating Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in their tweet saying Amazon stands ready to help in your efforts to tackle climate change, control the spread of COVID-19, reboot our economy, and advance common sense immigration reforms that honor America's diversity. It's day one. And Byron, they've stepped up to talk about helping to distribute the vaccine. You heard Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, where they're doing well with their numbers and getting those shots actually into people's arms, saying, no, we don't want a federalized, centralized handling of this. But Amazon stands by ready to help on all kinds of things, apparently, for a Biden-Harris administration. Byron?
That's really extraordinary. We faced an enormous challenge in distributing the vaccine before noon today, and Amazon did not make that order. Now, on the 100 million vaccinations in 100 days, the president's new goal, you've got some outgoing Trump officials saying, well, a week ago, the country registered its first 1 million vaccination day, which is the pace you would need to hit that 100 million mark. Now, there's no doubt that a number of states like New York had terrible beginnings of their vaccination programs, no doubt about it. But it seems to be getting together. It's rolling faster, and Joe Biden really should be able to do this 100 million mark, because we might have gotten there anyway. Very important that he makes that goal.
Well, we wish every state and every territory the best success in getting those vaccines to people who are most vulnerable and who want them. Leslie, Steve, and Byron, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you.